Hey there, airflings, alternatives, trollers, weirdos and strange people. Put down that mouse and lend an ear. Welcome to the Bandersnatch YouTube channel, where we talk the weird, the wacky and the wondrous. I'm the Bandersnatch, and I usually have no idea what I'm doing. Welcome to the Lord of the Rings of Power Season 1 review. This is episode 3, titled Adar. Yeah, so I quite like the fact that the episode opened with Arondir. He'd been taken from the previous episode, and I appreciate the fact that we kind of see what happens as he's opening his eyes. He's obviously been knocked out, so we kind of wake up in an area we don't know about, and we see the people who've been taken, and they're forced to. They're being not very good, and we come across the elves from Arondir's regiment. They've been caught too, which is not very good either. So yeah, I appreciate that opening, and that we find that he's still alive and he's being put to work by the orcs, which is not a fun position to be in, I think. Then we get taken to Galadriel and Halbrand, and they get pulled aboard a ship that is being run by Elendil, which is pretty good. And we find out they're Numenorians, which is pretty cool. And we kind of get pulled into port, and Halbrand's kind of asking questions, finding out what's what. And Galadriel tells him that Numenor was started up by a man named Elros. They were given Numenor for being for helping the elves out with Morgoth. It was kind of like a present. Hey, you didn't have to do this, but you did. Here's an island, and of course, the Numenorians have thrived. You can kind of see kind of the basics of elf kind of building in the buildings, but they've become humanized kind of more and more, which is pretty cool. Although Numenor does remind me of an anthill a little bit. It's kind of, all the houses are kind of together, and it's kind of like a little ant. The way an anthill would be. That's how it reminds me. That's a comparison my brain made. I quite like the fact that Galadriel and the Queen kind of have a little spar match, and Halbrand's like, hey, give us a few days, think about it, we'll behave, and we'll wait on your discretion, which I think is pretty kind of funny. That kind of Galadriel's like, look, just let us go, and we'll fuck off. And Halbrand's like, we're trying to be nice, give us a few days at least. I also quite like the fact that we get introduced to Elendil's son Isildur through a training program for the new seafarers. I think that's pretty cool, because you kind of learn. Excuse me. We learn more about the Numenorians and how they kind of deal with the sea, and kind of how they kind of are as a people dealing with being an island set of people and dealing with the sea as a whole, which I think is pretty cool. I quite like the introduction of his sister, and his reactions with the horse, instead of being nice to her, kind of in a brother way, which I think every single sibling set kind of has that, which I think is kind of funny. We then get taken back to Arondir, and they're asked to cut down a tree. Arondir's commander says, no, we're not going to cut down the tree. It's been here since long before you were. We're going to respect it. And the orc goes, hey, you've earned your group some water. And as the third guy drinks some water, they cut his neck, effectively killing him, because I think they cut the aorta. And how I know that, I will not tell. I watched too much documentaries, I think. Excuse me. But yeah, we have it that they end up fighting. And goes, hey, I'll cut the tree down, okay? And he gets up there and he sees excuse me, the damage that has been done to the world around him. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to run at this right second. So he starts cutting down the tree and doing as he's told. I have to admit, when I started seeing, my brain started screaming, run, bitch, run. But I don't think he would have gotten that far. I like it that we kind of get jumped back to Numenor, Galadriel, and Halbrand. We kind of learn through Halbrand's conversation with the Queen that they're not very happy Galadriel is there. They think something's up. Excuse me. I think this is something different that is in the books. That Numenor kind of turns against the elves and Valinor, because I think enough times has passed where, you know, some dissidence has kind of grown, and those who seek to kind of have more power is kind of growing up on them. They've kind of become a bit more kind of human, a bit more greedy. Obviously, there are those who are not against the elves, but obviously they have to keep themselves quiet, which is what Elendil is. But yeah, I quite like the fact that Elendil kind of proves himself a little bit to the Queen, and is told, hey, keep an eye on Galadriel, get her talking, all the rest. That's what he does. He goes and talks with Galadriel, and we kind of learn a lot more about Numenor through the conversation, kind of a bit how it was built, how the first king was Elros, who was Elrond's brother. We found out Elros is still alive and around in another part of the island. We also find out more about Sauron and his army, and where they possibly will be. I think this is kind of, they find out that they're going to end up in what becomes Mordor, which is at the moment is the Southlands. That's not really kind of a secret. I also kind of like I like the fact that how the later part of this episode is mainly with the hobbits. You kind of see them enjoying excuse me, their harvesting, gathering food, making sure that they kind of can move on safely, and kind of doing all their hobbitiness, which is kind of cool. I do like this. I love the scene between Nori's parents when they're kind of testing out the dad's foot. Excuse me. It's very heartwarming, because Dad's like, look, I'm gonna do the best I can. We ain't gonna be left behind. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm kind of gonna be there and do that, and which I think is kind of cool. I kind of see Nori kind of trying to help the stranger, trying to be there for, you know, her family, all the rest of it, and it kind of all just ends up in chaos a little bit. She ends up the chaos, the best way to explain it is Nori tries to be Nori. She tries to help, and it all kind of comes crashing down around her, causes some chaos, and her and her family kind of face the consequences of her actions, which means they're kind of at the back of the mover column. I think this is kind of what sets off the difference between what becomes of the brandy bucks. I reckon the brandy feats become the brandy bucks, and I think this is what becomes difference between them and the rest of the hobbits in the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. But that's Hobbit stuff and completely separate thing. I mean, I appreciate the fact that we started with Arondir and we end the episode of Arondir. He and his fellow elves attempt to escape. They kind of manage to get their shackles off. They kill a few orcs. Unfortunately, a lot of the elves die in the process. Olunde's commander kind of makes it over the edge and kind of a few feet away from the edge, and is shot and killed effectively. There is a man that turns up at the end. His face is obscured, but you can tell he's an elf. I reckon this is Sauron in his elf form. I reckon he does something which weirdly sets Elrond free, and I think that's kind of his downfall a little bit, because he kind of gets to a point and the elves get, and with the rings, of course this is just speculation, but yeah, so I'm kind of happy that the stranger is not Sauron, as was just to me during a conversation with someone else. I still think the stranger's Tom Bombadil, so I reckon something's going to happen there that's going to kind of have him become Tom Bombadil. So that's pretty cool. So we'll be leaving this here for today. Please leave a comment down below. Constructive criticism is always welcome. Please share with others if you want to, or not, it's up to you. Also, subscribe to the channel, it will help me out immensely. And don't forget, do we have Ko-fi? Please consider becoming a Ko-fi donator today. The link is in the description below. And remember, please keep it all sensible. Any abuse will be reported. This is the Bandersnatch YouTube channel. I'm the Bandersnatch, and